Great new video for Retrobat fans out there today, and this is going to be setting up the really awesome PS Vita Vita3k emulator within Retrobat. So I'm going to go through the full installation process for this one, what you need to do to actually download the emulator, which type of files we need to get this up and running. I'm also going to be showing you how to download the firmware once we downloaded the emulator itself, and I'm going to go through some video settings. So let's check this one out. Okay then, so if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe and also be sure to hit notifications so you don't miss up and coming Retrobat, Launchbox, Batacera and other front-end systems and standalone emulation videos that I cover. So we're talking about Vita3k. Now, I think it's important first to show you the actual compatibility website for Vita3k. So for those not in the know, not everything is going to be supported for PS Vita. So if we go to the website, and the link's going to be in my description for this one, go to compatibility. And if we just scroll down to this compatibility list, this is a full list to date of what's actually playable on Vita3k. So obviously we got green here, and this is fully playable stuff pretty much 100%. So if we just click on this one and scroll down, this is going to define every Vita3k game, which is 100% playable, I'd say. And there is a lot there, as we can see. If we just scroll back to the top here, to date, we got 55.14% of PS Vita games which are very playable. So your next section is in-game, which is 15.25%. So some of these are going to be fine, but they will crash occasionally. So be sure to check that out. So next thing we're going to do then is just go into Retrobat and we're going to download this emulator. So there's no cores for this. This is a standalone emulator. Okay, so once we're in Retrobat, what we're going to do is just scroll over until we get to Retrobat itself, and we can go ahead and download this emulator direct from here. And here we go, this is Vita3k. So if we just click on this one, and what we're going to do is just hit on install. So yes, let that download and install. So you're going to get a little command screen or window come up, which is fine. Just let it do its thing. And here we go. So this is the main setup process for the emulator itself. So what I'm going to do in my case is just use my cursor, and I'm going to go to English United Kingdom. And if you don't see this, just simply press on your Windows key on your keyboard, and that should bring up what I can see right here. If we just hit next after selecting your language, now, this next step is extremely important. If you don't do this, this isn't going to work. So what we're going to do is go to change emulator path. And from here, we need to put this into the Retrobat directory, emulators, and then into the Vita directory. So what I'm going to do is just look for where my installation of Retrobat is. So in my case, it's in C drive, Retrobat, emulators, and we're just going to scroll down until we find Vita 3k. So just highlight that, left click on it and select folder. And now the current emulator path now changes. Now what we're going to do next is literally press next. Now we need to install both of these, what it says here. So we need to download firmware and download font package. So just left click on download firmware. And that's going to bring you to the PlayStation website, and you can download your firmware for this right just here. So what I'm going to do is go to download update. And if you're using Windows Edge and it says it can be downloaded successfully, like I've got here, just click on the horizontal lines and press on keep, and keep anyway. Next, what we're going to do is just go back to the Vita3k and download font package. And that's just downloaded automatically for us, as we can see. So let's go back to the Vita3k, And this time I'm going to go to install firmware file. And we need to navigate to where those two files have just downloaded. So for me, it's going to be in my downloads. And the one we're going to select is the psv updat.pub. Double left click and just let this one install. This one can take a considerable amount of time, so just be patient with this and let it do its thing. And just press OK on this. And what we're going to do next, once that's been installed, is just go back into install firmware file. And this time, I'm going to go to PSP to updat.pub and just let this one again install. And just hit OK. And as you can see, once it has been installed, we now have V on both of these. So if you can see V on download firmware and download font package installed, you're good to go. So just press next and hit next again. And you have now completed initial setup. So let's press OK. Cool. Okay, and now we're going to press next and next again. Do you want to update Vita3k? Got no option here, so let's just update. And that's it. So we're next going to press OK on this little info window. And let's just take a look at what this is looking like. So what we're going to do next is start adding some games into Vita3k. So we can close this down and let's just exit out of Retrobat. So main menu and quit. And you can also close all this down now. Okay, so next thing we're going to do once we've got that emulator installed and everything's ready to go there, we're going to go to Retrobat, right click on it, open file location, and we're going to go to Back GUI system list. And if you don't see this list of systems here, then just follow my comprehensive setup guide and that will get you sorted. But in this case, I'm going to just go down until I come up with PS Vita. Under extensions here, we can see we need a .m3u extension for our games, a .psv or a .vpk. We can also see we got no RetroArch cores for Vita. It's literally just a Vita3k emulator that we've just installed. So we can close out of here now and close out of Back UI. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to emulators, and from emulators, we're going to find Vita3k. And what we're going to do, first of all, I'm going to tell you that your games you install through this method is going to be listed under XU0. And in XU0, your games are going to end up in the app folder. But we're going to come out of here and we're going to open up the emulator itself, Vita3k. Once this screen comes up, just use your cursor, just left click. Okay, so we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to install.zip.vpk, and I'm going to select File. And my game, Street Fighter X Tekken, is in a .zip file extension. So left click on that, open, and just let this install. Okay, now we can press OK on here, and here's our game. So if we look at the compatibility just there, this one represents in-game. So what I'm going to do first is just make sure this game is at least a little bit playable. So double left click and press on start. And Vita3k works with a shader system. So shaders, some of your games will lag at first, but once those shaders have loaded up, your games will become more fluid.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken!
Abel is tracking the movements of the criminal organization.
Let the madness begin!
So we can close out of there, and as we can see, everything's working fine as to be expected. So let's go into Retrobat. Okay, so we got no Vita appear at all. So what we're going to do is fix this. So main menu, quit. And what we're going to do finally to get this recognized by Retrobat is just head back over to the Retrobat shortcut, open file location, bat GUI, M3U creator. And for this, I'm going to go to PS3 emulator path. I'm going to click on the three horizontal lines, go into my Retrobat directory, which is on my C drive. Here it is, Retrobat emulators I'm going to go into because our game is in our emulators folder. This is where we installed it. And from here, we're going to just go to Vita 3k and my game installed in this path, which is UX0. And it's in the app folder. And I'll just highlight on this one, select folder, and then press on scan. We're going to give this a name, and of course the name of my game is Street Fighter X Tekken. And from here, what I'm going to do is just generate M3U. And if we go into the ROMs directory of Retrobat, and from ROMs, this would have generated in my PS3 folder. So we can see it just here, but we don't want it in PS3 folder. Otherwise, your Vita games are going to show up for the PS3 system. So right click on this, copy, and we're going to copy that M3U into the PS Vita folder. And just right click, and it's now pasted in PS Vita. Head back out to PS3 and just highlight and delete this M3U from PS3. We can now go into Retrobat. And here's PS Vita, complete with our game, Street Fighter X. Now, if I go to main menu, scraper, and just scrape some artwork in the video for this just to finish it off. And I appreciate this one's been a long process today, but persevere. And if anything doesn't work, just try it again. And normally your game will end up working. And here we go. So if we just go to view options, advanced system options, we're going to just leave everything as default for now. Just press start. And if you should see missing BIOS, just ignore it and press yes.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
And another thing, practice make...
Ready, go!
Got him!
Success!
As we can see, that's working fine, but we can clear up the picture on this to make it look better like I always do. So advanced system options, internal resolution. Now you can bump the internal resolution up, but just be very aware that if you've got a weak lower end computer, if you bump this up, it's going to lag in some cases and it won't play right. So for me, I'm going to just bump this one up to 3 times. Vertical sync, I'm going to put to yes to eliminate screen tearing. And we've also got option of visual render in here, so we can enhance the textures in the game. And just like internal resolution, if you bump this up to say 8 times to 16 times, if you've got a weak computer, it's going to crash or it's going to lag. So just start off with the minimum, and then if it's working okay, just keep bumping it up until you get to the sweet point. So for me, I'm going to just go for 2 times. Anti-aliasing, I'm going to put to yes. Now, if we go under drivers and video, if you find a game which should be working doesn't boot, then there's a good chance that you've selected the wrong driver. Most of the time, these work just fine on auto. So with these settings in place, let's see what Street Fighter X Tekken looks like this time round.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
It all started with a meteorite falling to the South Pole.
It's all or nothing.
So as we can see, that certainly looks much more tidy. There's not so many jagged edges around the animations, and it generally looks better. So if that's the case for you and your games are running just fine, be sure to bump up that anti-aliasing and also internal resolution. So that's it for my PS Vita Vita3k Retrobat setup guide today. I appreciate this one's been a lot more unusual than my usual setup, so there's been a lot more to do in this one. So if you do end up your game's not working, just delete what you've done and just start all over again. And 99% of times that normally fixes the problem. So if you're new to my channel and you like what you see today, just go ahead and hit notifications and also subscribe so you don't miss upcoming Retrobat, Launchbox, Batacera content and standalone emulation content that I upload almost daily. So also follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. And also be sure to check out my membership options under Next Level. I offer a perk for that option where if there's a particular video you want me to do, if you're in a spot of bother with what you're trying to do, I will customize a video for you and get that one up and running. So until next time, stay retro.